They sometimes like to split push above all. It just makes a lot of sense.
Their win-loss ratio on this map isn't the best, but it's good enough to justify the pick, especially if they do want to maybe bring out the Illidan or something like that, play a little bit of global, bring out the ETC, maybe even bring in the stage dive with it.
Yeah.
BTG, though, sitting at a cool 100% win rate with a 2-0, very similar to the Cursed Hollow win rate we saw for SPT earlier today.
Exactly. So, when we talk about Wang, RPG, and ETC, keep in mind that they delivered some spectacular stage dive play over the last few days, only to be stopped by Hot's Ladies 365 when he unleashed one golden emerald wind after the other. Now, we're gonna dive into that draft though. It is first pick, first ban for BTG, and they ban out the Uther, totally forgetting about, or not really minding, the Ariel and the Tassadar.
Exactly, and this is a thing that usually ends up happening in SPT games, where Ariel is the one who kind of gets ignored, whereas in the majority of the other games, she gets focused. And it is going to be RPG who is currently hovering and is probably going to ban out the Ariel. We already know that Sa is very comfortable on Rhaegar or Brightwing, so that's not a particular issue for them, whichever one they get put on.
Yeah, and Sa in particular is going to be a very interesting hero, or player I should say, to observe here throughout this draft, because going from being the liability of the team oftentimes into being a rock-solid pillar, that's been playing really, really well as of late, I think is a very astounding development, and banning away 2 supports is going to make it very interesting to see which support he's going to fall back on. Are they going to go for an early Rhaegar? Maybe a Karazim, he's been playing really well on that, or the Brightwing, as you said.
And then, of course, there's always the options to go for one of the most recently changed heroes in the form of Morales, who has been performing not too well in China recently. BTG! The Wag is not pleased!
Oh yeah, I think the consecutive streak of, you know, him playing ETC all day, every day has finally been broken. So, I mean, he's got a couple of heroes to fall back on, like Stitches. I actually wouldn't mind Stitches at all here. Muradin. Oh man, he's a deadly Muradin.
Yes, he is. So, would not mind any of those at all. So, Wang's fine. They can even leave him till a little bit later if they want. Then just focus more on getting Sar on something comfortable. Finding a hero for Chicken, like a Dahaka right now, would be a beautiful pick. It would give Chicken something really solid that would get them a huge XP bonus, XP around the map. This is what I would like to see as one of their first picks. Second one, maybe Tassadar, depending on what kind of assassin they want to go for.
Yeah, definitely true, definitely possible. What I also liked about the ETC first lock in by BTG was the velocity at which they locked it in. Like, they were not messing around. They were sending a clear sign here towards RPG that they have a battle plan put together and they want to execute it. And they seem to be very happy with picking up that ETC. Now, as Tetra said, the Tassadar being snatched away from BTG, that could pave the way for the likes of Vala, Raymain. Although, traditionally, I like Loktar and Infinity more in those mage type of characters. Especially Loktar on his Li Ming can be super deadly, although his Greymane is definitely nothing to be sneezed at either.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be fairly reasonable. So, we now need the Greymane would be good, and it would synergize quite well with the Tassadar. Valor would also be open. Varian being hovered over as a ban. This could be giving a clue towards... And Lili? This could be giving clues towards a Tracer? Infinity has played an insane Tracer in the past.
You do have a point there, Tetra. Varian as a ban doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you kind of want to bait the enemy team into something, you know? They see the Tassadar, which is a golden pick if you want to go Tracer. They ban away the Varian, which is still considered to be one of the strongest Tracer counters, excuse me. And there we go! They fell for it, or maybe RPG just wanted to bait this out all along. I don't think they really hoped to get the Tracer here.
Gives them the flexibility to pick Valor or whatever else they want now and still have a really solid draft. So whether it was a bait or not, they still win because they still get great picks.
Exactly. They basically prevented the Vala from getting picked or banned away here now. So cool little mind game coming in here. The interaction between both teams kind of nice. Any other hero that would make a lot of sense here now? Lunara has been picked away.
We already have Dahaka. If we go by Loktar, who is the most support-heavy hero, because there's a very good chance Infinity will be on the Tassadar because that's his job. So it's Greymane, Tychus. If we go by Loktar, Greymane, Tychus, Li-Ming, Valor, Lunara, Chromie, not really. Lunara's already taken. Ranged assassins who can actually gain value from the Tassadar mostly are like Greymane and Tychus and Valor, and we are going to see the Valor coming in as she is currently the top hero. And also, I don't think I've seen that particular tint, the glowing eyes on the Demon Hunter, on the Vampire Hunter Valor.
Yeah, kind of cool for sure. Not sure what to think of the draft for RPG here thus far. I mean, the Kharazim is nice, especially Sa has been performing very well on this hero. Still, Kharazim, unless your team clumps up every time, your Breath of Heaven is probably not going to hit everyone affected by the poison if the enemy Lunara spreads out the poison well enough. So, I remain... on the other hand, though, like, oftentimes when you bring that argument of Kharazim not being able to heal anyone, or everyone in his vicinity, you could also argue that he applies a lot of pressure with his Iron Fist to even prevent that damage from being spread in the first place, right? So it's always this funny interaction of Kharazim applying so much pressure there's no damage, or him suffering if he can't do that. Oh boy.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
We do see the Genji and the Sonya add an ETC and Lunara into that mix, and that's going to be a rough fight. So we need a incredibly solid and hopefully peel-heavy frontliner.
I want a Nubrek right now. A Nubrek of Stitches. Like, this is actually a good position for RPG to be in, because Chicken is going to play that Dehaka, whereas Wang is currently the only one who still needs a pick, and both Stitches Gorge and the Anubrek Cocoon are fantastic against that Dragonblade Genji.
The issue I have is the Anubrek I don't think actually has enough health to deal with what they're up against. Stitches I'm okay with. He would be able to tank enough. Muradin for similar reasons, but he wouldn't have the same ability to deal with that Dragonblade.
If you go Haymaker, though...
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you trying to slice me with a sword? Go over there, please. You come talk to me later.
Hey, it's been picked in the past already against those Malthael plays or Genji plays.
There is a, also on a different map, but there is a precedent for, in order to, they do go with Stitches, which I personally think was the best choice. Yeah. But there was a little precedent for when having to deal with Genji, taking Diablo and just getting that targeted CC and just focusing Genji down, which would have been another pretty reasonable option, I say.
Yep. As it is, though, I think we have a pretty interesting draft on both sides. BTG, of course, going for their infamous controlled aggression. Without a doubt, one of the most aggressive offensive teams in the league, even for Chinese standards. They really like to set a target and then just blow it up with everything they've got. More often than not, they were successful with this approach in this season so far. But RPG, as I said, or as we said, they have a couple of really good defensive tools available, like the Stitches Gorge, fantastic on the Dragonblade Genji, the double protection with Tassadar, super solid. Which draft do you like more, Tetcher?
Both drafts are actually really, really good.
Yeah, I think so too.
BTG's draft is terrifying. It's the kind of draft that if it gets a first kill, we'll probably just win the game. Just, like, in the first couple minutes of the game. But it is counterable, and I do really like that Stitch's last pick. The Valor is very empowered. Kharazim's got the most ideal support, but he's definitely good enough. And like you said, the pressure Kharazim can put on as well to the enemy heroes is good. So I'm going to lean just barely towards RPG.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to find out which draft will reign supreme here on Sky Temple in the first game between RPG and their opponents from BTG Beyond the Game. Let's go. We're being deployed to Sky Temple, and on the left-hand side, we're about to find the men known as RPG. We have Chicken with Dehaka, Wang plays the Stitches, Sa on Kharazim, Infinity on Tassadar, and Loktar on his Vala.
Whereas on the right-hand side is going to be Beyond the Game of Heroes of the Storm. A on Genji, 619 on ETC, CJZ on the Sonya, MJ on the Rhaegar, and ST is playing the Lunara.
Okay, so I think those team fights are going to get very, very interesting, very heated, because as soon as Genji gets a reset, I think the whole team formation of RPG is going to break apart, because they have so many squishies in the backline. However, if we see a couple of good anti Dragon Blade abilities being... Oh! First hook was good on MJ. That's exactly the target they wanted to have with the fadeaway hook into the backline here. Fantastic stuff. That's the Wang we know.
That was very nearly an absolute disaster because we actually saw Saar getting focused down and very nearly dying, but he was able to get out, and because they chased so deep, and that's the whole point of BTG's comp, the fact that it can basically chase forever and just get kills eventually, no matter how far away you run. But in this case, they turned around because they'd run out of area to chase into because they were about to enter enemy buildings. Stitches took that moment as an advantage, got a perfect hook, and was able to secure first blood.
Yeah, Locktar in the meantime trying to disengage from that Lunara poke. Very dangerous. Though she's going to take a bite. MJ very aggressively engaging in here. But Tesla and Vala do have the means to actually stay in lane. Strong sustain, good protection. RPG taking a little bit of momentum away here from these first couple of minutes. Actually, from this first minute, we're not even that far into the game because they destroyed a tower in the top lane. And even if you get that tiny amount of value, it's going to be noticeable once you control the top temple, for example, because it doesn't have to chip down the first tower that you just destroyed. In the meantime, we see, you know, this permanent duel between Sonya and Dehaka. None that he was really being able to out-harass or push the other.
Yeah, and unfortunately for RPG, they're not actually taking top temple. They're only now moving up. They're a little bit behind, and this gives BTG the opportunity to attempt a raid on this later in the once they've taken most of the shots from their temple, or even abandon some.
Yeah, they don't have anyone soaking mid as well. Somebody should really go there, otherwise this minion wave is going to go down, or is going to go down the waist here. Chicken, though, taking a very obvious route.
But now they're missing bot.
Now they're missing bot, exactly. I'm not really sure why they kept 4 people in the top lane RPG. That is when they realized, hey, you know what? BTG isn't even trying to contest this, so let's go somewhere else.
Looks like they want to try and grab the first fort of the game, and they will do this. And that, oh no, it's going to be close. Locktar getting shielded. In comes Saar. He would rather rely on keeping Locktar alive than guaranteeing the last couple shots. Doesn't do so, though, as ETC from below picking up that kill, and they steal the last few shots. So this is what we're talking about. They took too long.
Yeah, rotations are kind of lackluster for RPG. I mean, don't get me wrong, they still soaked in the middle and in the bottom, and as a result, they're not really falling behind too much, but they could have gotten that for it easily. As Tetra said, if they had activated the temple a little bit sooner, or if they had now rotated a little bit better and they hadn't taken so much time. Now, Genji careful. Ooh, I was going to say, still had the Swift Strike, though. Interesting talent here. Or talents, I should say, for the Sonya, going for a completely different build to the ones we saw previously. Shot of Fury at level 1, allowing her to get a massive chunk of Fury. And of course the Hurricane at level 4, getting rid of slowing and rooting effects when that spin to win is getting activated.
And reducing the cooldown of it by 1 second.
True.
The majority reason is actually picked. You can see there are not any rooting effects. There's a couple slowing effects on RPG, but it's the 1 second cooldown reduction. There's the big deal as to why that Hurricane is taken. The Shot of Fury is quite interesting. It does mean that you have Whirlwind up consistently without actually having to land the spear, which is quite helpful. And it does allow you to, if you wanted to, they don't end up doing it this time, but she could have taken this Ferocious Healing and not had to worry about being out of energy, out of Fury for actually casting that for a little bit more sustain for maximum sustain build.
619 needs to be careful now.
Yeah, and he is getting taken down.
Okay.
No Yakashar and a drag from Dehaka. They've ditched all the other lanes, but they've picked up 2 kills, and now they just need to push bot as hard as they can. Try and take down that fountain before the next temple phase.
Exactly. The fountain right now is the main objective. They really need to destroy that one. As such, I would actually not even bother with the gate. I would just go right through the bottom wall piece and then just destroy the fountain as it is. They're taking the more time-consuming route, but I still think they have enough time. Like, the heroes from RPG are only respawning, so there we go. Pretty big advantage now for the second temple phase, and they need to get that value, because as you can see here, they did not get much done with that Bruiser camp at the top lane, whereas on the other end, BTG is now applying a lot of pressure in that location. So, RPG, they can also not abandon the temple too much, though. Stitches can still fall victim to a gank.
Stitches is holding it for the moment, but you can see BTG are ditching it, and they are moving up to the top lane to try and push in against this Dehaka, who pulls in Sonya, will get a couple tower hits due to that last camp dying. Now it's going to be Genji who's going to have to drop a deflect. 4 heroes up here, though. Are we going to see the rotation, or maybe even a boss attempt by RPG? Locktar takes so much damage. That was brave.
Yeah, very brave indeed, and almost getting punished for it. Now we can see how XP is basically being equalized here. A lot of temple value done by RPG, but so are our BTG. They're getting tons of stuff done here, and they might even continue with this.
No, they're being back. They're too scared here. So the rest of these shots going to go onto the mid lane. Top is still open and vulnerable to grab later, as level 10 is available. RPG... looks like they were thinking about porting back. I would have liked to see them do boss right now. Dahaka's enough to defend that. They could have probably taken boss in time.
I think Dahaka probably gave them a sign, though, that they did have a couple of members teleporting back, like Lunara, for instance. So I think a boss might have not been safe enough because they couldn't have had the clearing speed. But either way, both teams fairly even, not really risking too much, going for smart macro play around the map, something that we're not used to seeing from Chinese teams all the time. So definitely kudos to them in that regard.
So there is that Gorge to assist in dealing with the Dragon Blade. Nice cleanse. Here comes the start. ETC does have Mosh Pit. Leaping Strike immediately onto Tassadar, who drops the Archon, turns around and starts to deal a fair amount of damage, slowing down that ETC advancement, making it much more difficult for him to drop the perfect Mosh Pit as so he would like to. And once again, Infinity. Consistently good poke damage, but that Archon on there, the Gorge, but immediate stun from 619. Booyakasha indeed. Here comes Dahaka, trying to save it. Palm is dropped, poison, and good Palm. Beautifully done, but the Dragon Blade finishes off Tsar. 1 for 0.
If only Rhaegar hadn't gone for the Doge Bite there, I think the palm would have not been triggered. The poison was ticking too slowly. But even as it is, the Dragon Blade secured a kill against Kharazim. Only one casualty in that massive team fight. Definitely not the worst outcome for RPG, but definitely a better outcome for BTG beyond the game. Definitely putting on the pressure here a little bit. But that Genji seems to be a problem. The moment he saw the Gorge go down against Lunara, it was his time to shine. He was like, oh, I'm ready to go, mana mana, and use his Dragon Blade, slicing and dicing his way through and getting a kill. Very nicely done. Mosh Pit not even used.
Yeah, Mosh Pit was held there for a very long time, and like you said, I don't know why Stitches gorged when ETC was that close. He just set himself up for exactly that scenario. You need to make sure you have the vision. That's what Tassadar is for. You have the Oracle. You could see if ETC was too close for you to get out with that.
Yeah, exactly. Only go for the Gorge when you're about to get a kill for sure, or if you want to disengage against the Genji. As it is, though, I think Wang learned his lesson the hard way. And, yeah, let's see what the future team fights will hold in store.
BTG were looking for a raid there, decided against it as RPG instead come in from below. Hook is landed, Gorge is available again, so they could try and drag into a fort range if they wanted to. Instead, Wang is thinking about moving into raid. Here comes the power slide, but good dimensional shift, meaning that it wouldn't have been a two-man stun. This could be going bad if Locktar does not move out of range here. The mosh pit could have been dropped, but instead he just face melts and backs up. Chicken from below, good cleanse, keeping ETC alive. Sonya's hooked in. Once again, not the most ideal target, and RPG aren't able to get who they want yet.
And now they have to be careful of the Genji once again. They just saw the Gorge to go down. Dragon Blade is ready. Dahaka, for the most part, wasn't even participating in that team fight. He didn't even go for the bottom temple either. I think RPG is missing a lot of opportunities to go for those temples and just, you know, let it go. Just separate yourselves and trade temples one by one, instead of always going for those plays that you can't execute. So far, they look a little bit uncoordinated, Tetra.
In this case, though, they do actually get away with this relatively okay. They're able to grab a camp, they don't lose any members, and now they can actually fight 5v5. The problem is they don't have 13, and no one is soaking it. Dahaka looks like they are just going to ditch the last few shots of this temple. They didn't even grab half of them. That is the issue. However, there are two relatively low forts that they could attempt to make a play onto. Yeah. The top one is low enough that they could, in theory, dive it without too many issues, especially with no stage dive available.
It all just takes too long, Tetra. They don't go for the forts. It takes too long. They didn't go for the temple either. That's a very greedy boss call, though. BTG,
get out of there, BTG.
So here's the thought process. I think BTG was expecting RPG to maybe show up top lane or mid lane, and in order to try to get one of those forts, and maybe they could have used this short period of time to cause a little bit of distraction and go for the boss, but RPG is not to be fooled this time.
Yeah, it would have been a fair assumption. ETC already fully stacked on Prog Rock. That's actually pretty good. That's really well done in terms of how quick he was able to do that. Arca is now soaking top, and this is the idea. They are just trying to keep themselves in the game. They find a delicious Genji, but it is a Genji, so he's already gone.
Man, also, I just noticed, like, why didn't Kharazim go for the 7th side? I think it would have given them more follow-up for the hooks, too. But the palms were good, so we can't really fault Kharazim for too much here. But
Yeah.
It seems like RPG is trying to go for a pick comp, but they don't pick anyone. And that's normally always a bad sign when your battle plan doesn't work out.
Once they have a... Once Valor's more stacked on the queue, they're going to have a huge amount of burst. Way of 100 Fists is also going to be enough. It's a late game pick comp. Right now, they don't have the lockdown to really follow up, but ETC's going to get the mini slow. Dahaka's obviously there for stun, Rain of Vengeance. They do have the tools. They're just not all complete yet. They've been taken out of the box, they're just not charged.
Here we go. I think that's that's a good way of saying it. They're trying to go for that Siege Giant camp, and they successfully get it. They had good vision on the rest of BTG because Dahaka was keeping vision of Sonya in the top, and they also saw the remainders of BTG moving to a different location. So nice little victory here, but I think they need to try and make something happen before 16 hits. Like 16 is going to be a major power spike for heroes like Lunara. The Rhaegar also gets a massive disengage with a totem if he decides to go that path. So ideally they're going to try to go for hook now on the Rhaegar. I think that is probably the prime target to go for, the target that is easiest to kill because of no escapes. Lunara could of course leap strike to safety.
We do see 619 trying to protect that fort, but it is taken down due to the amount of damage dropped out, and RPG able to pull back nice and quickly. Chicken taking a lot of damage trying to clear out this Bruiser camp, but the fact is he will clear out the Bruiser camp and keep that tier 2 protected. Right now there's only one tier 1 structure remaining, and that is that top fort.
Now, Tetra, very important level 13 talent here for RPG. Nullification on Tassadar. If you pop that on the Genji while he's using his Dragon Blade, you can severely cripple his overall damage done. And I think timing here is going to be of the essence. Now we see 619 on the ETC charging in deep. The remaining members of BTG are following in. The Wrath of the Berserker has been used, but no grip, no lockdown.
This is aggressive from BTG. They want to do something. Dahaka's patience has just been an absolute virtue here. The camp is stolen, and the fact is Sonya's still getting shots here. RPG are playing so passively, but they're not achieving much other than soaking 2 lanes, which they're already behind. They now have 16, which is what they needed, and this is where they will likely try to capitalize. Where's Dahaka going to come from? Likely below at the bush that currently Lunara's in, which is not ideal. ETC power slides in again, not getting the right mosh pit. So much poison from Lunara, but the Archon is popped, locked out, keeping himself alive for the moment. Sonya moving in, Gorge is used. Here comes the Dragon Blade, immediately trying to get in and get some value, but he's being forced to retreat after taking so much damage. The poison spread though is too much. Chicken trying to sneak in from behind, beautiful burrow, not really needed, dragging in the ETC there. But once again, both teams a hell of a lot of hustle and bustle, but neither one able to pick up a kill.
Tetra, one word for that team fight. Woo! That was close. I just can't believe how much damage was done by that Lunara. As you said, that poison spread was insane. And despite RPG dropping solo early on, they still managed to hold themselves into that team fight very nicely. The power slide to safety, Genji using his deflect there. He's hard to catch, but they get Lunara.
They get Lunara, and that's huge. You can see how low Valor is because of the amount of poison damage he's able to drop. And Karazim is really starting to make use of those way of 100 fists. You can also see that Valor has gone for Manticore here. Is just going all in on the amount of burst damage they need. And they do need this. Mosh pit hooked to deny. Valor rolls backwards, gets palmed as well. Genji's still in the fight doing damage. Rain of Vengeance is locking him down as Valor is popping off, turning it round. They get 2 kills. Sonya is sustaining through it with the whirlwind, but the whirlwind's now on cooldown as they chase EGC with the Taslow.
RPG did it!
Full team wiped by RPG.
A quintuple kill with beautiful, flawless execution. They break through the bottom wall. They go for the keep. I think they smelled the victory right there. 27 seconds on most of the team members. Only Lunara left alive. But that is a dangerous foe to face. If she spreads the poison, Karazim trying to buy a little bit of time here. Can they do it? It's going to be close. Kalaris is watching, guys.
Kalaris is watching. They move for the core. Star focuses ST. He's dropped low. ST is desperately trying to get any damage. The shield is dropped. Chicken is still healthy. Wang is doing a great job tanking the core.
Sam, what are you doing?
50%. Genji has returned. 1 kill as Genji turns around, but it's too late. And that is GG. Game number 1 goes over to RPG.
Kalaris, you have no power here, at least for now. We don't want to shout it out too loud. But that was just a very clean team fight here by RPG. They picked one member after the other coming in from beyond the game, and they just wanted to bite off more than they could chew. And as we said before the game started, Tetcher, the better the opponent, the better RPG is going to perform. That was outstanding.
every single time, and that patience, we thought it could have been a mistake, but it really paid off. Just waiting for that Way of 100 Fists, waiting for that mini slow from Stitches, just pure patience. And of course, a god palm at the end of that game from Saar to keep Loktar alive, turning it round. What a beautiful execution by RPG, just playing it slow and then turning it up exactly when it matters.
I think there were two turning points in that decisive team fight there. As you mentioned, the God Palm by Saar. On point. If Loktar and the Vala had fallen there, lights out. No way they could have salvaged that team fight. The second one that I really, really enjoyed was by Saar as well. That Kharazim pressure on the Lunara. He was constantly providing those punches to really force the Lunara back. She couldn't spread as much poison as she could have done otherwise. I think Saar easily deserved that MVP vote right here, right there.
Yes, we need to see a Saar MVP here. Like, I don't think, like, Loktar did really well, but I would